Well, I tell you what, it's Friday. It's Friday, and it's time for another episode of the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. I'm your host, Steve Casillo, and I know you're doing one of three things right now. You're either watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, or you are listening to this podcast on your favorite podcast player. Whatever the case may be, it's time for another 10-minute nugget of information. As we do every Friday, we bring in right over there Phillip Washington Jr. to talk about everything financial. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Steve? How you doing?
Doing well. Did you have a good 4th of July?
I had a great 4th of July. It was full of relaxation and got a little bit of swimming in.
All right. Just one. What was the highlight of the 4th of July?
The highlight of the 4th of July was, really just being able to swim with the family. And my friend brought his son over, and so we just got to hang out and have good conversations. How about yours?
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, family. Family is our motto in our household is family first. And even though our kids have flown the coop, it was just my wife and me and the 2 dogs and the cat. And we had a great, very relaxing, not only 4th of July, the entire 4-day weekend was very relaxing.
That's awesome. Glad to hear that.
Breaking free from the traps of limiting beliefs. All right. That's today's topic, and let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Yeah, so what made me think of it is, when building financial plans, way more times than not, I would ask somebody, what are their goals financially? And a bunch of times people would limit the goal they want to accomplish. So they would say something like, hey, how much do you want to have coming in a month to be financially independent? And they would almost, more times than not, give me numbers that was even less than what they were living on.
Yeah.
And this is even before we got into the conversation of what their assets were, what they were able to save, what they were on track for. But it was like out the gate, let me limit. This is all I need. I can get by on this. And I would always go, well, you're not even getting by on this now, right? And you have more life to live. So why don't we just expand that number? And at the very least, try to get by on what you're getting by on now, right? And they would go, oh, and I would talk them into it, and they would go, oh, it's okay. And so that's an example of a limiting belief where if out the gate you limit where you want to go, then you're lowering your scope for where you're going to end up because you can only go as far as you can see.
So things like thinking bigger. I want to travel more. I want a better car. I may not want a bigger house because it's just my wife and me, so maybe we'll downsize. So less money there to put into some more luxury items.
Right, and I even and so everybody has their capacity for where they are mentally, right? And I've found a good friend, wealth manager, person, whoever or media that you go to, wealthbuildingmadesimple.us, but media you go to, the job is to just help people expand their horizons, right? And so a lot of, and all of us do it in different capacities of our life. So it's not like I don't do it, or even people who, even the billionaire does it because they can be a trillionaire. And so we all have limiting beliefs that are limiting where we are as part of the human experience. But my point is always striving to remove conditions. So for example, if somebody says, this is what I want, and so I'm going to have to do this to get that, I'm like, that's not what I asked you, right? Let's not limit the how. Let's not say you have to limit this to get that, because, right, that may be the thing, but right now we're just talking about what you want, and so I'm big on saying, when you're in the dreaming period, when you're in the goal setting, when you're dreaming about your dreams, just unapologetically say what you want. Separate the how, right? When you're thinking about what you want to do, say, I want this house because, I want this car, here's the why, right? I want, this is what I want. Or you don't even give a why. You can just no justification necessary. But I'm just saying, expanding your beliefs has nothing to do with the how. It's just saying, this is what I want, right? If I don't need, I'm gonna use something for example. Like I told my friend I want to buy a castle.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
with a moat.
Yeah, that would be dope. And so, and how we got in a conversation because we were talking about this, and he said, yeah, man, but I don't really need it. Like, you got to understand, we were having a conversation about him saying he wanted to have like $100 million, and so then he was going, yeah, but when I get it, I don't really need all this kind of stuff. And I was like, bro, you're talking about having $100 million. I was like, I'm gonna buy a castle. He's like, why are you gonna buy a castle? I was like, 'cause I just think that it's cool. Right? Do I need a castle? No. But like, I'm always looking to like break limits in my mind and saying like, I just want a castle because I want a castle. Like, I can just buy the castle. I can maybe go step in it one time, and that would be the extent of like my experience. But I want a castle because I thought of a castle and I thought it was cool, and I don't like limiting, right? That. And so that's an example of just like practicing blowing up limiting beliefs. So then that way you're open to the ideas, the paths, the cooperative people, right, that are going to help you get there. Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to limit myself.
What I'm guessing here is because you're the expert and I'm not.
Well, you are. You're an expert.
Yeah, what I'm guessing here is it first takes vision.
100%.
Visualize owning a castle with a moat and a drawbridge and a guard. If you visualize that, okay, now how do I get from that visualization to realization? And it may be a side hustle, it may be 2 or 3 or 4 side hustles, or we've talked about in the past of how do you draw multiple sources of income? And okay, but let's go back to that. How do we go from visualization, tough word, to realization?
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, like, I think you mentioned y'all did a puzzle, right? You did a puzzle.
We did a jigsaw puzzle over the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, and so like when you do a puzzle, if you start the puzzle trying to figure out where all the pieces go, like in the beginning, I mean, that like stresses you out and you're never going to finish the puzzle, right? The best way to finish the puzzle is just to like relax, put the pieces together that you see. If you get stressed, go take you a break, right? Go have a drink, come back to it, right? The puzzle will fill out over time. And so I feel like when people look at like an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos or a Warren Buffett or people who seem like they just have a magical hand to make money, they don't realize they started off with the same mind as you, right? They started off in the same place that we all start off with, but they just slowly over time remove limitations, which allows them to have inspirational ideas, right? To have quote unquote chance connections with people, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that like it's magic, but it's more like we're always receiving information. We just don't pay attention to it. Like I'm talking about if you look from a physics standpoint, like the amount of information that we are sensing around us that we don't pay attention to is like infinite, right? But then same way about the impressions that we're seeing. Like if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody and you are like giving them a lot of love, right? You're just loving on them and you're loving on them and you know you're loving on them, and then they turn around and tell you, man, you don't love me. You go, in what universe do you live in?
Right.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's because if they're not open to love, like if they're not in a receptive mode to love, they don't hear any of that. All they lock on to is the negative shit, right? I mean, when they're in that state. So same thing with money. Like if you operate from an emotional state of lack, you don't see any of the abundance around you. All you do when you see a billionaire is you go greedy, right? Or if you see like a neighborhood that is getting improved, you say, that's gentrification. That's for evil, greedy people, right? Or if you see somebody who says, oh, hey, you should like maybe start your own podcast because you have a passion around this area or topic and it's going to make money. You go, that's a stupid idea. No, like you've been getting all these ideas forever, right? And you just block them because you have a negative emotional state around money. So I mean, that's the practice or the how is to just practice practice allowing it, practice the feeling, practice opening yourself up to it, and then you're gonna hear the stuff that's you've already heard it. You already heard everything you need to express what you want. It's already there. You just haven't heard it.
Can I ask, does meditation play into this?
Meditation is 100%. Like I can't describe. It's like describing love, right?
Yeah.
The clarity of mind that you have when you meditate, and meditation doesn't mean you always walk around blissfully zenned out. But what it does allow you to do is it allows you to feel when you're off, right? And allows you to, when you have a thought, right? When you have a thought that's not in line with how you want to feel, you feel the difference, and then you allow the thought to evolve, right? You go, oh, man, that was a lackful thought. And then you don't judge it, because if you judge it, you're giving energy to it, and it's going to continue to live. But you go, oh, that's a lackful thought. Cool. Let me get back. Let me relax. Cool. Let me let it go. Let me feel a better thought. And then you move on, because the thought, like life form, evolves, right? Like thoughts evolve. So a thought of lack evolves to a thought of abundance.
Sure.
As long as you let it be. It's like people, right? We talking about peopling, right? People are just a compilation of thoughts, right? All people do is express their thoughts and actions. And so, like, if you let people, if you got somebody who's super resistant in your life and they're super negative, just don't respond to their negativity, because they're going to express it, and that negativity is going to die over time as long as you don't respond to it. But every time you respond to it, you strengthen that negative idea. But if you just like let it be and you don't respond, then they it's like The Exorcist. They, you know what I'm saying? And eventually they either move away from you,
Yeah.
right, or they work their shit out. So same thing with our limiting thoughts about money, is like those thoughts are going to work themselves out if we just stop judging them. And that's what meditation helps you do. It teaches you like to just don't judge yourself, like don't, because you are not your thoughts, you are not your actions, right? You are the emotional essence of who you choose to be at any given moment in time.
In the minute or so that we have left, if someone wanted to reach out to Phillip Washington Jr. to get their inner Zen going and break free from the traps of limiting beliefs, how can they reach out?
The best is my newsletter, wealthbuildingmadesimple.us. For $25, you can read all the archive posts that we already have up. You can read the daily stuff that we put out. You can see if you like it, right? It's the goal of every post is to zen you out. Every post, that's the goal.
Wealthbuildingmadesimple.us.
Wealthbuildingmadesimple.us, yes, sir.
That's Phillip Washington Jr. right there. And we do this every Friday. Phillip, have a great weekend. Let's do it again next week.
Thanks, you too, Steve.